adding some animations to our salmon to give the illusion or the effects of it swimming, diving, and moving in a more realistic manner. So to begin, double-click or open up your salmon object. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add some animations panes. So right-click and rename the first Swimming. Follow this up by right-clicking and adding a new one called Jumping. And finally, one called Diving. Navigate to the Swimming, and we're going to right-click in our pane and import from Sheet our Salmon Swimming. So if you open up the Salmon folder, we're going to have a Swimming. Select your first item, then holding down Shift, select your other items. It looks like this feature is disabled. So start with your first salmon, select Open, import. We can go ahead and delete the first image now that we have this. And go ahead, just go to Import Frames from File and add to your items. So repeat that for all images. Once you have your files imported, we're going to adjust some variables to this. So first thing we're going to do is with this selected, we'll zoom in, zoom out to show you. Hold down Control and select the crop tool. Now repeat that for all of our items. The quickest way to repeat that is with Control selected, go ahead and click on all of our file images. We should then be able to, with Control remaining, click. Now we have these all, oh, not quite. So go ahead and do them individually. Now, with all your images cropped, oh, looks like I missed one. We're going to go ahead and set our origin point to middle. And then just to make sure, I always like to quick assign or apply to whole animation. Next, we're going to resize. So to do that, we'll select the arrows here. And we're going to resize this to be a height of a width of 70, height of 90. Select, keep aspect ratio, unselect, adjusted too much, then apply to whole, and select OK. So now you can see here, we can zoom in. All of our animations now are of the same size. Next, let's look at our collision. We're going to right-click with that selected and say guess the polygon shape. Then right-click and apply to whole animation. Next, with this selected here, go to speed, and we're going to make this a 14. So it'll cycle through these and loop it at a rate of 14 frames per second to give the illusion of movement. Next, let's go to our jumping. Import from File. We'll move up and open our jumping. So just like before, go ahead one all the way down and add these files to your game. Now with your jump added, you can see here it is already kind of guessed the polygon, so we're good. Select the jumping animation, and we're going to want to adjust this for a speed of 8. Then make sure your origin is in the middle, and it is applied to the whole animation. Next, we'll go to our diving. And this will have 17 images. So if you import from frames, or from files, sorry, and we're going to go the down, so it's going to dive under. We're going to insert each of these. Once you have all your images added, we're going to start by resizing these. So go to your resize handle. And like before, these will have a 70 width, 90 height. Make sure apply to whole is on. We're then going to select the animation and change the speed to 12. And check our origin for middle. And then apply to whole animation. With that done, you can go ahead and select the red X here. And we will now go to our event sheet. First, navigate to the top. We're going to add an action so that the salmon, type in move to, we're going to go move to bottom layer. This gives the illusion the fish is underwater. Next, go to your XDiff, these two here, to test the left and right movements. We're going to add to this, for our salmon, set angle to 30 degrees. Now copy this and reverse this to a negative 30 degrees. This will give the illusion of a more fluid movement back and forth than the straight, jerky kind of movement we've had so far when we go from marker 1, 2, and 3. Next, go down to where our lane markers and go to here and set our salmon, set angle, we're going to go 0. So once it's hit its marker, it should be faced forward only, not tilted. Next, let's test for the up and down motion. So if the Y difference is less than 0, we now want for the salmon's animation to, and if you delete this and go shift quote, we'll do jumping. Next, we will want to move this object. So we'll select the salmon. We'll go move to top. So if it's jumping, it should appear above the water. Therefore, it is on the top layer or the top of the layer of game. Next, we can select and copy, so holding control. And we're going to change this from jumping to diving. Next, we're going to go to the else statement. So moving to this else, the else we use here, we're going to add a condition. We're going to add 2 conditions, actually. So right-click, add condition. And we're going to make sure that the salmon's animation jump is not playing. So we're going to go is playing, jumping, and inverse. So right click and invert it. Hold, select this, hold it. See if we can control, drag it up. It will not. So right click, add another condition. Again, salmon, playing, and diving. Invert this. Next, let's go up to our system, game over. Here we are going to do and add an action. So off this group, I'm going to right click here and add a sub event. So before I do that, I'm going to close these up just to make it easier to see. So we're going to right click, add a sub event. We're going to test for the salmon animation of jump to be finished. So I'm going to type finished and select jumping. So when the jump animation is finished, we want for the animation to go back to swimming. So swimming is kind of our old default. It's always swimming. And then we want to move that salmon. So we'll go move to bottom layer. So we want it to look as though it's underwater now, back to swimming. Next, select and copy this, holding Control. And instead of jumping, do diving. Again, these are basically our old school default image, and this is the base of how the character should be performing if not engaged in a upward or downward Y change in value. Next, go back to your layout. With your salmon selected, we're going to add to it another variable. I'm going to call this jumping. And instead of a number, it's in a Boolean. A Boolean, if you remember right, is a true or false statement. So initial value would be clicking this would be true. We want it to be false. So we'll leave that be. Go ahead and exit out and go back to your event sheet now. We're going to add, I apologize, we're going to add one more variable, and this will be test for diving. Again, this is a default false because base or default is swimming. So we'll go diving, another Boolean, and then leave this unchecked. And you'll see here it represents a default false value. Next, go to your event sheet. We're going to go make a group called obstacle collisions. Here we're going to add a sub event. Here we're going to test for collisions. So we're going to go salmon on collision. We'll start with outcrop left. Next, because they're all going to behave the same, we're going to add what are called ORs. So make an OR block. So again, make OR block, then right click and add a condition. Test to see that the salmon collides with the right. So we hear on collision with outcrop left or collision with outcrop right. We're going to add one more OR. So add another condition in salmon collision with island. So if any of these are to happen, there's going to be an action we need to program for. As you might guess, the game is done. So what we are going to do is have the system go to our values, set game over to 1. Remember, 0 is like the on switch. It means play the game. 1 means stop the game. Next, we'll have the salmon go set. And we'll look for values. not variables. Scroll up to set speed, the animations. So I'm going to select set speed and go game speed. Then Salmon, set angle of motion to 90 degrees.